Welcome back, Video Creeps. It's been an entire year since the last time we got to see Scream. What's going on with Samantha? What's going on with that Jenna Ortega? Tara, you know her name. It's hard, you get confused. She's in so much now. She's doing very successful, that kid. So I'm gonna give you my thoughts, my little reviewy thing of Scream 7, 8, 9. How many are we gonna make? Okay, so I can't stress enough to you that this is going to be a spoiler-free review.
Okay.
No spoilers.
No spoilers.
No spoilers.
No spoilers.
Okay, good. For those of you at home that aren't aware, you don't live this life, you don't know what I go through, Jess here is the biggest spoiler person I've ever known in my life.
I've gotten better.
Have you?
A little. If it's in the trailer, it doesn't count.
Yeah, but you go way beyond. You go way beyond. You go too far. You go too far. But that's okay, because I get to edit this afterwards, so anytime that you spoil a thing, when you're not supposed to spoil a thing, I'm gonna get in there. I got you guys. All right, Scream 6. What'd you think?
I liked it. Better than 5, for sure. I can't believe, though, that the killer was...
All right, go away. Get out of here.
I'm either going to say too much, because, like, to talk about a movie without talking about a movie...
It's difficult. It's not easy
very
to do.
hard.
All right, get out of here. I love you. Get out of here. I'll bring you in for spoilers.
I get spoilers?
This shit was tense. There's a fun little game of like hot and cold, you know that game where you're a little too close and you think you know. You've played it. Don't act like you haven't played it. But you play that game and like the intro of this thing with one of these characters, and it's the whole time I'm like, I know I want him to be hot. I want him to be close to the thing, but what's that thing is it gonna be Ghostface? Is it gonna be something else way more? I don't know. But I was intrigued. I was there. Like I wanted to know. And that tension, that like fucking that hold on to your seats like fucking feeling, that does not go away throughout majority of this film. I would say if there was one thing I enjoyed the most about Scream 6, it would be that fucking tension that they're able to sustain throughout the entire film. There's this great part in a grocery store that we all saw a ton of in the trailer, which I will say as well, like for as much as we saw in the trailer, I still felt like I got a bunch of brand new content. Like that grocery store, even though I knew that I was gonna get Ghostface with a shotgun, it was still really cool to see Ghostface with a shotgun. And it felt like every time that he pulled that trigger and he blew shit up, it felt like, wow, like he just threw a mini bomb out of that gun. That ambience was there. It was really fun. Something else really cool to see, which we were all rejoicing in happiness about, was that they brought the character of Kirby back. I personally wanted to see Kirby come back, so to have her in this, it was like, yes. But then I had these reservations, right? Like, are they going to do it the right way? Are they going to bring her in a way that I'm going to salivate? And like, did she serve the story in a way that was worth bringing her back? I would say yes.
She got lip filler.
That was noticeable. She did get, there was some lip stuff going on there. And then her voice, like she didn't sound like her. Hayden Panettiere, I know you're not in everything, but you didn't have to do that. But I did think that they utilized Kirby in a really good way. Even though like, there was this weird thing that happened when I watched her scenes in this thing, where it was like, is this like kind of like a cop drama? Like whenever she was with like one of the other characters who's a prominent cop character in this film, it feels like we are not just like following a bunch of kids. It felt like a brand new thing that we hadn't seen in the Scream films, even though we've had like Dewey and Professor Hicks, She Wishes. It felt like there was a sincerity to how they were trying to break this case and how they were trying to break down all the things that had already happened. It felt like a very different film in that respect. And as we know, that's not the only legacy character that comes back. We also get fucking Gale Weathers back in this bitch doing what Gale Weathers do. So I was confused as to why they were pissed at Gale Weathers. There's this really quick scene like where they first reintroduce Gale to us and shit, where the girls are doing the same thing that everybody knows about Gale Weathers. Like the events from the last movie, Gale went ahead and fucking did what Gale Weathers do. She did her journalism thing. But these girls are like, how you gonna do that to us? How you gonna do this thing that you've done like mad times again? Bitch, that's what Gale do. Though, like, don't act like I'm not, like, pissed at Gale Weathers, because I kind of am. Not very, like, big special reason either. She just has this dumb line about why Sidney Prescott is not in this movie, which it's like, I get that, like, they want to cover everything. I get that they want to fucking give us. Where's Sydney? Why isn't she in this movie, right? But she alludes to Sydney not being in this movie or not being a part of this adventure because she deserves her happy ending, which that's not the truth. I feel like if you've rocked with this franchise long enough, you know what's going on behind the scenes. You're keeping up with the horror news shit surrounding Scream. We all know that it wasn't that she deserves her happy ending. It's because she deserved that check. Fucking Nev Campbell came in and she was like, I want that many zeros, and they were like, so I feel like this double-edged sword thing where it's like, I don't really give a fuck about Sidney Prescott. I didn't miss her presence in this movie. I did not feel as if like the story could not be driven further without that. Well was tapped long ago. But at the same time, like, fucking don't act like she just didn't want to do the movie or some shit. Like, you fucking to say it was expensive to bring her out. That I would rather that. Now, it's not all legacy characters, of course, like the core four, as they like to call it. They come back for this film as well, like the twins, Tara and Sam. And then there's brand new friends for us to fucking like kill, just to kill, which I think was a huge misstep with this film, if I'm being completely. I did not care about any of the external characters in this movie. I just didn't. The brand new friend group that I've always cared about in every single other Scream film, that was not happening here. And I feel like the film wanted me to not care about them as well. They kept doing this thing where they were alluding to being like the core four, and like, I don't know, like if I was not in the core four, but I was sitting on the fucking couch right there and I hear them fucking slapping fingers and shit talking about being the core four, I'd be like, well good, fuck them too. I don't even want to be in the core four, the core dorks. But even with that, because I do care about the characters that have already been pre-established, I do care about the things that's happening in the movie because of that layer of anxiety that's happening the whole time. I'm not gonna give anything away, but there is this great scene with this ladder that's going on that was fucking, if you have some kind of like fear with heights and shit, that's gonna prey on it. Talking again about like just fucking the trailer versus the movie and how the trailer actually did a pretty great job at not showing us everything. That train scene that we all got treated to before the movie actually came out, there is just a horror person's paradise happening on that train. It's like, hey, there go the Grady twins. Hey, there goes fucking Georgie. It's fun. It's like a Where's Waldo situation if you know, if you had to find multiple. I think those books you did find multiple. There were other people other than Waldo that you had to find in those books. There was a wizard. I remember him. There was a yellow Waldo. I don't remember his name at all. Something that my brain couldn't stop like drifting to because of but specifically with the character of Mindy. She is so engrossed in this world where like everything that like her entire reality is just, this is what would happen in a horror movie. But your life is not a horror movie. Like, she kept calling the entire situation like a franchise and shit. Is it possible to be so meta that you've driven yourself insane? I think I would like to see that. Like, I wouldn't mind watching a Scream adjacent type film with somebody who believes that they're in a horror movie. Because that's like Mindy. Like, I fucking, sure, she's fun for the Scream universe, but can you imagine if that was like your best friend? She a real bad bitch? Like, if that was fucking someone in your world, I guarantee you that would fucking freak you out. You'd hate it. Sometimes you just want to go into the basement, man. All in all, I really enjoyed Scream, but I will say one of the biggest caveats for me with just flat out loving this movie is that just the motivations are getting so muddy. It's like no longer like a realistic thing whenever it comes to why the killers are doing the killer shit. And this movie is no different in that respect. Like, I don't exactly believe why they did this in this movie. Though I had fun, though it was cool, the kills were fucking great, I just don't think that's how that would go down. So what ends up happening with that is you end up enjoying this film and kind of like, you know, you watch anything, you kind of take that, you'll put it over there, and you'll suspend your disbelief. But then the motivation comes out. Like, this is like the fucking, like, you've been jerking me off for an hour, and now it's time to come, baby. And I want to, like, touch the ceiling with my climb. Like, I want it to drop back down on my head, man. But the big thing that happens in this movie, it feels like a little stupid drizzle. Like, it barely cussed out. The motivation in this thing is not like, oh, yeah, no, I would do that too. I would do that. I was driven by passion, and that's why I did what I did. It reads more like fucking, like, I don't know, I just thought it'd be cool. And that's not a reason to do things. Didn't you see any truth ads when you grew up? So that's everything that I have to say about Scream without saying too much. However, if you did see Scream, I am gonna get into some of the more specifics of this film, and I will bring back the very spoil-driven Jessica for us to get into this thing for a little bit. So just go to this timestamp if you want to finish out the video without hearing anything, because you haven't gotten around to it yet.
Okay, so I agree with you about the ending. The motivations, I feel like they're trying very hard with coming up with new ideas, and that's the one thing, like, I love Scream so much. It was one of my first horror movies that I was obsessed with, so I have a special place in my heart for it, and that's why I'm kind of like close-minded when a new one comes out, which is pretty often lately.
Sure.
Very
As in the last 2 years.
Yeah. I mean, it's consecutive.
They just keep doing it.
I feel like it's always trying to top itself, and it should, but at the same time, I resent it. That's the one thing I don't like about it. But having said that, I did enjoy it. I went in very close-minded, and I ended up liking it, so I think that says a lot.
I will say, like, you touched on something about how, like, you just always want to, like, raise the stakes. I will say, in this film, I thought that they did raise the stakes. Like, things did seem more important, even if the motivations ultimately were dumb. I do think, like, the kills were bigger. I did think that the atmosphere was bigger. It was nice to be out of Woodsboro.
For the movie, the stakes were met, and the enjoyment was met. The entertainment was met. The storyline is getting weaker by the movie, I think.
Yeah.
I think it's getting watered down, and that's where I think I hold back in seeing a new one, which will probably come out next year.
Well, you're not. This is rough because you don't care about the Samantha Billy relationship, and the franchise is digging into that direction.
I know, and it's hard for me to grasp that that's his kid still.
I will say, like, I felt that same way, where it was like, I don't see this, nor do I care about Billy Loomis's child. However, I did like in this movie where they went with it. Like, now Sam is trying to grapple with the fact that maybe she could do a little killing.
Will she or won't she?
Yeah, will she do it? Won't she do it? And then when she does do it, I'm kind of rooting for her.
Yeah.
And it is cool to see a Ghostface and be like, I'm on his side, or I'm on her side.
It's like she has the power when she needs it.
Exactly.
You know?
She's like fucking Spider-Man. I just don't see that this cop father wanted vengeance for his son so badly that he decided that his daughter and his son should become murderers now, because his other son, who was ultimately damaged, he was a damaged kid, Richie's fucked in the head, like, instead of like, we screwed that one up. He was like, let's screw these two up too.
See, when the reveal happened, what I thought was like, how does this conversation go down? Was it like at the dinner table, like, hey, guys,
I got this crazy idea.
I got this crazy idea.
Remember when Richie was here?
Yeah, that was a seat.
Yeah, they did that.
He's not here anymore.
Not here.
What's a cop's paycheck like to afford all that?
I mean, I can't imagine that he
Did
wasn't.
you steal it?
Of course he stole it. That's the other thing. You know who the killer is. You're gonna know. I knew that it was the fucking cop right away. I did a little whisper in the movie theater. I did that.
You did. He called it.
I called it very early because who
That's
else? They didn't hide that it could have been him. There have been other Scream movies where I had no idea. Like in Part 4, I had no idea that Julia Roberts, tiny mini version, fun size Julia Roberts, I had no idea that she was going to be the killer at all. I thought they hid that really well. Who else would have like access to the evidence that this kid had and shit? Like
Tiffany Valentine.
It's Tiffany Valentine. Well, she do what she got to do. I feel like it could have been hidden a lot better.
See, that was my problem too, because it's like when you go into these movies, you're like thinking the whole time,
Who is it?
Who is it? And then when I'm thinking, oh, it's gonna be the cop, but then that's obvious because he did like a little eye thing. Like, I'm over-reading these movies now where it's just like you said, like a crime drama.
Right. It was
A cop
super
drama.
sad. Super sad because I feel like the movie was already going in a super mind-fucky direction. Like, when we saw the reveal that the kid, like, killed Samara Weaving in the beginning of the movie, like, it was like, oh shit, we've never seen that it's just the killer flat out. Where's this guy? It felt very different, very new. But I thought that we were going to go into a direction where, like, there was this network of people online who were also Ghostface fanatics who were going to go and attack these two people. I like that idea.
Part of me did think, like, maybe because they have to top each movie every time, that, like, this one we're gonna watch the killer the whole time and not have to guess it, because that would be different.
That would be super. And I dig that.
Killed.
Also, as far as like the killer, are you doing me?
Welcome back.
Oh, it's the hands? Weird family, weird killer. The father at the end of it, like the cop father, what was that at the end? Where he's just like, I want to see you wear it.
Oh, yeah. Is it a kink?
I don't know.
Scream is very family oriented.
A little bit. It's very personal.
Mom, half brother, father, daughter, son. Oh, no, cousin, right? That was her cousin. That was Sydney's cousin.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, very family oriented.
Yeah, it's a family film.
For being very different, though, they still do a lot of Scream tropes in it. Like the pop-up at the end.
Right. A lot of quips.
A lot of quips.
Yep.
A lot of quips. It was one in the beginning, he's like, now I see red. That was the first one. I was like, okay, that's corny. And then they just kept coming.
Something else that happened in this is that there's a lot of talk about losing legacy characters. And for a brief second there, we fucking lost Gale Weathers. Like, she fucking got the knife, and it looked very much like she was gonna die. And to be completely honest, I was fine with it. I was ready to let Gale go. And we should have known, because there wasn't a big celebration. Like, when Dewey died in the last movie, it felt like, oh, he's done. There's no more David Arquette.
See, again, that's where they're always like, you always have to like think 3 steps ahead, because they're always talking about how the legacy characters are gonna die, and then none of them died.
Exactly.
Like, everyone lived at the end.
Everyone lived in this. And they did the same thing with Kirby. Like, fucking, I thought that, and I got upset every time, because there's like 2 fake out like Kirby kills in this movie.
Maybe 3.
Maybe 3. Where each time I was like, oh, they brought her just to kill. Oh, she's alive.
Bye.
Do you want to say bye?
No.
No? Just want to disappear? Ultimately, Scream looked beautiful. Just to get into the technical side of things, I like the coloration of this. It feels like a Scream movie. And for a long film, I gotta say, I did not think that it took a super long time. It did feel like a well-paced film. While I didn't love every relationship and the way that everything came together, it didn't fucking hit the nail every single time. More often than not, I did enjoy this. And then with all part 6s or part 3s or even part 2s, you ask yourself, did this franchise absolutely need this? Ultimately, it's good. We didn't, but I'm still really glad that it did. It was nice to see more with Sam and Tara and more of this storyline that they're trying to build out. So it's complicated, because while I know we don't need it, I do enjoy it. And while I don't need another Scream, I wouldn't mind seeing the inner battle that Sam would go through with her complex feelings with her father and Tara and this entire little Scream world. The kills were brutal enough to keep me entertained and hope for a brand new kill to come being thrown my way. And there are notable ones in this movie. So for that, I would be happy to have Scream 6 in a box set. But let me know your thoughts down below if you've seen this movie or if you have any interest in it at all. And if you're interested in hearing my ranking of the Scream films, how I would watch them, in what order, how much I love or hate them, go over to my Patreon, where you will find a brand new ranking video of Scream. And I will see you guys on the next video. Peace, video creeps.